not on my medicine, it makes me feel like I am in like a pile of file cabinets and I'm just going through each one and it's like, okay, and then this one. Oh, yeah, and then this one, and then this one. When I am on my medicine, I'm still in that same room, but I can kind of be like, okay, we're going to work on this file cabinet first. I'm like, okay, then I'll do all that and I'll be like,
shit, you're
and
going to send me the name of that.
Girl, I'm going to have to say my doctor. Like I said, I love my doctor. He's this woke young doctor. Anyways,
I was like, is he hot? I guess he's hot, y'all.
I think every 3 months like clockwork. No, but he really is like really a good doctor. That's why I've stuck with him for so long, because he'll be like, okay, like let's try this or let's talk about this or whatever the case may be. He pairs well with like who I'm seeing like in, you know, for therapy and stuff. But I mean, all that to say that basically everyone may experience at times just where they would need some additional help. And when it's your children or any child for that matter, like you as a parent, you've got to stand up and say,
Hey guys, we're back.
yeah. After we've had several, well, we still have some sick kiddos.
Yes, currently on an hour of sleep, but we're good. We're here.
I know, that was me last week. I know. Well, so we had the snowstorm, which is also why we didn't film because, yeah, like, no.
I drive over 25 minutes in the hills to get to her house from my
I live
parents'
in the
house.
boonies. So no. But yeah, that was me last week because Jed started school. So I was like running on no sleep and then coordinating with the teacher and then like the bus and just all this stuff and special education for Jed. I'm like, I feel like I didn't sleep at all that week, girl.
Yeah, when it was supposed to be 3 days and then you found out it was only 2.
Yeah.
So that's annoying.
Yeah, it was. And then Cam got sick.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I know. And then now Harper's super duper sick.
I didn't
so I'm
wanna,
like, oh
pass
my God.
it to you guys. So I was like, it's fine. There's snow. I don't want to pass it. And then you're like, Harper's all sick. I'm like, you know what? We could all just, like, you know, when you were little and you got the chicken pox.
Oh, yeah. And your parents are like, all right, all of you. All 4 of you.
All at once. We're going to all get the chicken pox.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so Cam got sick, but Jed started school, which has been exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. He,
Is he talking more, doing more signs that you've noticed, or not so far?
So he has said yeah a lot.
Really?
He'll be like, yeah. He's asleep right now because he got off the bus and he like came and said he like just...
He must have had a hard day.
Well, he said he's been getting on the bus like, bye, no problem. Getting off the bus, no problem.
No, I mean like a busy day to where he's like, shit, I need a nap.
Yeah, I think between getting on the bus, riding all the way to school, going to school for a couple of hours because he just does the short schedule in the morning and then is usually home by like 12:50, 1 o'clock. He's done.
Yeah. He's like, I'm out.
He's like, I want to go me. So I miss my nap time. I don't know what's going on. I'm exhausted.
You're like, bro, that's how I always feel.
Yeah. But it's been a fight to get here. I mean, I know I shared last week kind of just like a prelude to what we were going to talk about, which is like Jed being on the spectrum, getting his diagnosis, and then really like the advocacy work that I had to do, which is kind of crazy for me to get like the school district to accommodate really what his needs are, even though he's entitled to those. Because he is, first of all, considered ESL. I mean, you know, his first language is sign language.
Sign language, yeah.
Yeah, that's why
so
you
he's
guys
automatically
are so tight.
dual. He's automatically dual language.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Right? You
Look
would
at
think.
that. Yeah.
Right? Common sense. But you know, whatever. What do I know?
I'm like, sometimes you have to get the attention that you don't like to create, but it has to be there.
Right. You really have to. And that's the thing too. Is like, so when I posted it, I know that new song that like is blowing up right now on TikTok. I think her name's Lola. I'm so bad. I don't know who the artist is.
I'm bad with names too, girl.
But you know which one I'm talking like the I'm so messy.
I don't
and
have TikTok.
I'm too fucking clean. You haven't heard that one? Okay, I gotta play it I'll send it to you on your way.
Okay.
But I know a lot of people have been like posting like it towards like ex-spouses or just like how they relate to the song. But I posted it for Jed and like it was kind of funny because like somebody asked me like, why did you post that like about autism? Like, dude, because that's exactly how I feel it is with Jed. Like, Jed is who he is, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes he's too loud. Like, we'll get stares in public when he's, like, having a meltdown or he's stimming or kids his age are like, why doesn't he talk? Like, they'll pick up on it before parents do. Because Jed will be like, he wants to get their attention.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's always like this, too. Like,
Yeah.
come here.
My turn. Come here. Yeah. So he'll, like, do things like that. But then if I talk to Jed, like, how I have to, which is like, hey, do you need something? And I'm, like, signing to him. Or even the way you talk to him. Then people also look at me crazy.
Yeah, they're like, what's going on?
Yeah, like if he's deaf, why are you verbally? I'm like, he's not deaf. He's nonverbal. He's autistic. And it feels like in like this society that we've experienced so far, there have been situations where like, I think from outsiders more so, my inner circle, you guys are like amazing with Jed, but like outsiders or even like the school being like, well, you know, he's high functioning for being on the spectrum. Right, because I've worked with him, because we got services at 18 months, because I realize regression is a sign of autism, because I realize he should be freaking talking at 18 months.
Well, yeah, and you also were home, thankfully being able to be home with him. Like,
Yeah.
you nonstop talked to him and communicated with him, like trying to get him to, you know, communicate back with you. And then he did via sign language.
Right, exactly. So I've worked with him in the home, but it's like, I can't, like, it's really hard to feel like Jed, and I'm like, I hope he doesn't have to step into that into like his adulthood or as he progresses in the school system where it's like he can't make anyone happy. It's like Jed is not, and I don't even want to say like normal, because what is normal? But he's not 100% at the milestone markers.
Like, shit, mommy.
Girls say, I'm like, I don't know, Jed. Some of those are my tendencies. I'm like, should I be worried?
I know, when I see him and my kids, I'm like, oh, that one's me. That's that raw dog, you real quick. I'm like,
ouch. Is that how I sound?
No.
But like, it just feels like hard to make anyone happy. Like, Jed can be too loud. He is gonna scream and screech. He's gonna cry a lot. He cries tremendously. But then too, like when Jed does his signs or he's doing something that, you know, a lot of people are like, whoa, should he be signing that much at his age? And like, it's like, you can't make anyone happy.
Okay, so tell me this. Deaf parents have a hearing child.
Yeah.
Are you going to tell the hearing child that they're not supposed to learn sign language so they can communicate with their parents? Because only 10% of deaf people can read lips.
Yeah.
So...
And actually, too, like, I've seen where children who are hearing, born into non-hearing homes, also have speech delays.
Well, yeah, because they're not used to hearing somebody talk.
Yep.
Well, and that's how, like, people gain their accents. So, like, my kids, born and raised here in Texas, sound like Texans. And when we go out of state somewhere, my kids are always like, oh, Mom, they sound different. I'm like, they say the same thing about us. Like, don't talk too loud. I know. So, everybody's different.
Right.
I don't know.
It's a hard balance. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I really, when I heard that song, I thought of Jed, because I feel like no matter where we go, we do call attention to ourselves. Again, you know, having to advocate to even get him into SPED in the program in the school, it was a lot harder than I thought. And I think that's like unfortunate because frankly, like you said, I do have, and I'll say it's a luxury to work from home. I have the luxury of working from home. I didn't have that with Cam. So Cam is dyslexic, and he didn't get any assistance.
I was about to say he didn't get anything that he needed to help him before he hit middle school.
Yeah. It was third grade.
Oh, third grade?
Yeah.
Oh, well, still, that's halfway through elementary school when he could have been learning, like, while he was actually writing in kindergarten.
Right. And it sucks because I really, in those primary years, I had to work in the office 5 days a week. You know, and then the school obviously pushed back when I said there were some tendencies that I saw, and his dad is dyslexic, and then COVID hit, and so he didn't have...
And that makes it worse because you're just like, then you're just at home with them.
Yep.
And you're like, I'm not a teacher. Like, I didn't go to school to be a teacher. I do financial stuff or, you know, or whatever. Right. Or like me, I'm like, I do real estate stuff. I don't know math like that.
Right. So you need that partnership with the school district, but it's...
Yes.
I would say this. I think that, you know, it's a lot of different factors. I don't think that districts or this school district specifically that Jed's into intends to just turn away children who are special education. I think that they have to use the resources that they're given, and then they have to disperse it as much as possible around really what is... I mean, there's other children in his class who are around the same age and also are nonverbal. So it's like... there's more of a need for it, right?
Yeah, I was about to say, and it's way more common these days than it was back, say, like in the 90s, because they were like, oh, that doesn't develop until you're like a teenager, and that's not true. Like,
right. She'll grow into it. She's just shy.
Yeah. Oh, they just don't want to talk to anybody. Like, that's it. I'm like, that's not how it goes.
No. Yeah, I agree. Like, even too, like in my own personal experience with my sister, she talked very late in life, and now she is diagnosed as being on the spectrum. And like, she's a huge advocate for like, even she does like the sensory appointments for hair, because she does hair, but what does she call them? Silent appointments. She will book a silent appointment, and she's had people already book silent appointments because of either something that they have that they don't necessarily want to disclose, but they choose to be silent.
So you just don't talk while you get your hair done.
Right.
But that's also so fucking relaxing. Like, as a mom, I would
like,
love a silent one, and I'm not autistic.
That's what I told her. I was like, sometimes I would go and be like, oh, I want to talk for 4 hours.
Oh my God, dude. The last time I got a massage, which was, mind you, like over a year ago, because I don't take care of myself, but the dude talked the entire massage, and I'm like, bro, this is my 1 hour where I finally get to myself.
Sir, I need this.
I know, but I feel bad for being like, shut up. I know, but then how mean is it to be like, hey, cut the shit? Like, then you feel bad. You're like, oh, am I a fucking therapist now? Like, what's going on?
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's great, but Star didn't talk till she was maybe like 4 or 5, and my mom, like you said, back then things were very different. So I think she just had the approach of like, okay, like she will grow into it, like versus like now
she's just shy, and Eddie's just outgoing.
Yep. And now it's like, no, you know, or even to her being like, yeah, you were just so organized and meticulous as a child, and you needed to know how things work, and you needed an answer. And I see that a lot in Landon, and I'm like,
he has to know all the details.
And even now I'm like, you know, obviously you guys work towards things with him, and you guys have his like therapy and stuff, but I'm curious if like eventually there will be like some kind of OCD tendencies.
Oh, well, yeah, because he has like impulsive control. Where he has to, like, it needs to be Landon's way like this because that's right.
Right.
And I'm like, no.
And
I'm the boss. But he's just like it makes him like want to bite his fingernails.
Girl, same. Like, I even thought of him on my way home because my Bluetooth wouldn't work, which is why I was so annoyed. I was trying to actually like voice record, text one of our friends in the morning. Kelly, she like reached out to me because she was wondering if one of her sons lives up there at the house. And I was like, did you get any of my voice messages? She's like, no, it's static. And I was like, it's the Bluetooth. And then today I literally stopped in traffic, pulled over, put on my hazards, fixed it, thought I did, and then was like, hello, because I was on the phone with Jonathan, and he was like, I still can't hear you. And I put off Bluetooth, and I was like, shut up. And it almost literally set me over the edge. And for somebody who like doesn't have those like diagnoses or, you know, those things to work through, it's like hard to comprehend why that would throw you over the edge. But for people like me, or even possibly Land in the future, because I thought, I'm like, these are things when you're like, I don't get it why he'll like go off the deep end. I'm like, I'm not a therapist. I don't know exactly why either, but what I do know is same.
I was about to say, I did it this morning and then I felt terrible because my dad put like, okay, so my parents' driveway goes like this. And of course, that's my parking spot. And so, and my dad just did like these stone brick things right on the opposite side of my car. And I leave the house at 6:30 in the morning. So it's dark and I can't see. Well, no, the other day I accidentally like cut it not close enough to my mom's van and ran over some of them, and it just like moved them. But he's like, okay, we're not gonna be able to do that anymore because I had to fix 8 of them and blah blah blah. Well, and then this morning I could not get my car to not want to go on top of those damn stones, and I was like, motherfucker, and I pulled back up, just kept doing it like 10 times, and Landon's like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. No, I'm totally fine. And then he goes and tells my parents whenever he gets home from school. I was like, you don't tattle on me.
Probably bothered him too, though. He's probably like, I can't do this every morning. It's like, oh hell no.
I was like, can I have a different parking spot? Like, my tisms are going crazy.
Yeah, seriously. But and that's what I'm saying. Like, if it's hard to accommodate on the day to day,
especially as an adult, I couldn't imagine in a little kid.
That's what I was gonna say. As a child, like, and that's why, like, too. I even when we had those meetings, you know me, like, I'm the first person. Like, we always joke in our friend group. The running joke is like, I'll like kick someone's ass and like represent myself in court to like,
oh yeah
because I'm like all about, like, I think really it's like education. So whenever we had that meeting, which you're entitled to have those meetings, any moms who have children who have any inability or special needs or have received services from like a state program to help with occupational speech therapy, seeing a specialist for those kinds of things, you have the right to reach out to the school. I think it's under like the Chapter 20 child mandate. I can like post it, like the specifics, but those were the things I was quoting to our school district because I was like, you guys are actually now breaking and infringing my
that's that
rights.
thing you said you read front to back, right?
Front to back. Same thing when
because I was like number 12. I don't even know what you're talking about.
I'm like in chapter blah 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 Texas legislation, and I like had screenshots from their website which aligned with that. It has to. So I was like, unfortunately, and I told them straight up, I'm not trying to be rude or brash or come off any type of way, but like you said, if me and you like have those things that we work through as adults, imagine a child, like a little child, and then at that Jed's like nonverbal. So he can't, when he gets frustrated, I can tell. And then he's just like crying all day. He's very clingy. He's very whiny. It burns me out. It makes me very touched out. And then it's just like this ripple effect of like, I'm on edge. He's on edge. He can feel I'm on edge. So I'm like.
It's a nonstop like battle back and forth.
Right. So I'm like, it's not that I'm trying to be like, I know more, or I'm like one of those parents. It's like, I literally am like, no, I'm trying to partner with you. Jed cannot advocate for himself, one, because he's a child, two, he's nonverbal, and I'm his mom, so I have to be the advocate. I have to stand up and say, no, this is what my child with special needs is entitled to. No, this is the Texas law around public education. This is the federal law around public education. And really just hold myself and the school district accountable to it. Yeah. Because I'd be doing a disservice if I was...
Well, then did they say why they shook him down to 2 days instead of 3?
Because one of those days is extended. So his longer day, I think, was today. Like, he is basically home at 2. He just got home a few hours ago.
Oh, okay. That's why he's still snoozing.
That's why he's asleep, y'all. He's passed out hard. By this point, he'd be like,
hey!
But no, he's passed out. And then Wednesday is like a one-on-one day where he's not in a small group and it's a shorter session. So it's still equated the same amount of hours, but in 2 days, which is fine. Like that's totally fine. At first I was pissed. I was like, why is it 3 days? But again, it speaks to like, if you don't know, if you don't educate yourself, I didn't go, like, I was upset. I texted Brittany. I was like, in the school, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just so mad. But I went there and I was like, hey, I looked over the accommodations that we agreed to in the ARD. Also, moms, special needs kids, or receiving services, you can call an ARD at any time. It's your right. So if you have your child in the program for, let's say, like in Jed's case, speech therapy, and you feel like there's no progression or that he needs additional resources and he's been in there 2 months and you'd like to call an ARD meeting, you have a coordinator within your district assigned to you and you can call it.
Yeah. So, and they'll go over like, okay, this, because I did that for the last 4.5 years at the middle school in New Braunfels. And it was my duty every class period to go to my particular 5 kids that I was like assigned with every day and write down like if they're getting their work completed, what they seem to be struggling with, what subject. And then that way, whenever their parents do, or because we would set up ARDs regardless if they called them or not, just at least twice, it's like 2 or 3 times a year. Yeah. And it's just so that all the teachers and the parents can still be on the same wavelength as the kiddo is progressing or digressing.
Yeah. Or stagnant.
Yeah. So if you call an ARD, you'll get to see literally what they're doing in each class and how their teachers are responding to them, how they're responding to their teachers. And so it's good insight to do.
I think so too. Yeah. And like I said, like Brittany's point, she's right. It's twice a year. But again, if you want more, like you can call one, you can ask for one.
As long as you give at least like, I think it's like a 2 week or so. But that way everybody can get like together folders and stuff and the teachers. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that there is like a turnaround time, but like the school district, in my experience at least, like they've really have shown that they tried, because I looked back at it, I educated myself, and they were like, no, see the amount of hours, we're still accommodating, the bus schedule, blah, blah, someone from transportation is going to call you. So that made me feel better, but I wasn't going to go into it blindly, and I think that's
kind of what they're used to, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like they expected me to be like, and this, and this, which, while to each their own, and like I said, I'm not perfect, trust me. Brittany always gets like, I would say like the first version of me. where I'm like very heated and upset, and I'm like, and those blah blah blahs, and I'm gonna blah blah blah. I will say there's times that you like amp me up, and then there's times that you're like, girl,
it just
calm
depends.
down.
It depends on if my ADHD is rampant that day, because sometimes I'm like a crackhead not on crack. Like, I'm like, okay, I need to get this done. I need to do this. Oh, hey, I forgot this phone call. Like, and I'm just like literally all over the place. Oh, my kid is beautiful. Let me touch him for a second. Then I go back over there, do the dishes. I'm like, bro, sit down for 1 second and figure out what you're going to start with.
Girl,
I drive myself crazy.
Same. I feel like sometimes I'm like, am I being manic?
Well, and then what sucks is like the next day, I'm like, what all did I do yesterday? And I can't even remember. Yeah.
I have to write myself notes.
I can't. It's like I was in a fog the whole fucking day. And then I was just like, okay, wait, hold up. That's not normal.
I know. I'm not going to lie. I ran out of like my medicine like for my OCD today. Because I was bad last week with like the snow. And then Cam being sick. Like I didn't call when I was supposed to. So today I did not have it. And I was feeling it. Like I was like, I am so disorganized. Like I can't get my shit together.
I think that's what I need is OCD medicine. Because I think if I had that, I wouldn't like try to do so much at a one time.
What I can
scramble
say
myself.
For me, like the medicine I'm on, it makes so I'll say when I'm not on my medicine, it makes me feel like I am in like a pile of file cabinets and I'm just going through each one and it's like, okay, and then this one. Oh yeah, and then this one, and then this one. When I am on my medicine, I'm still in that same room. But I can kind of be like, okay, we're going to work on this file cabinet first. I'm like, okay, and then I'll do all that. And I'll be like,
shit, you're going to have to tell me the name of that.
Girl, I'm going to have to tell you my doctor. Like I said, I love my doctor. He's this woke, young doctor. Anyways.
I was like, is he hot, I guess? I guess he's hot, y'all.
I think every 3 months like clockwork. No, but he really is like really a good doctor. That's why I've stuck with him for so long, because he'll be like, okay, like let's try this or let's talk about this or whatever the case may be. He pairs well with like who I'm seeing like in, for therapy and stuff. But I mean, all that to say that basically everyone may experience at times just where they would need some additional help. And when it's your children or any child for that matter, like you as a parent, you've got to stand up and say something.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's what's also hard. So like back probably like 15 plus years ago, when I was doing child development classes and stuff like that, one of my friends, I had mentioned to her one time, I was like, hey, like your kiddo's already 4 years old and doesn't talk, doesn't want to potty train, just does that to everything. I was like, I think that something might be going on. And then I felt like a bitch. Well, because then she didn't want to talk to me. I was so wrong. Like I shouldn't be talking about somebody else's kid. And I was like, okay, my bad. I came to you as like a friend of a really long time. And so you also have to be in the right headspace, because some parents know that their kiddo needs help and that there's something different about them, and then some parents will straight up just deny that shit. They'll be like, no, they're fine,
and that's why I say, like, I agree with you, and I've seen those parents that'll straight up like deny it.
They're like, no, they're fine. I'm like,
yeah, or they're like, how dare you, like they're offended by it.
Well, yeah, she got really bad at me for a long time, and I was just like,
and it's not like you're telling others. You're telling her like, hey, friend to friend, like I'm not done with school, but like I'm in these classes and like they talk about this stuff. Like maybe you should talk to your doctor, like your primary care.
Well, and then it did come out to be true.
Right. So and that's what's even harder is like you're just trying to help because that child could have got help sooner, could have been maybe further along.
Well, I just meant it would have made it easier on the friend too. You know what I mean? Just like not having to wonder what, like, am I doing something wrong? Right. You know what I mean?
Or even like deal with the fits.
Oh yeah, that too.
Like Jed threw a ton of fits before like he learned a lot of sign language because we just could not understand what he needed. But I think that's what I'm saying too. Like I know we had even talked about it when like Jed was little and I didn't get offended, and partly because I kind of already felt the same way. But again, like I know I probably am beating a dead horse, but why I stress before you come to something, before even like really peeling something back or discussing it, you've got to like internally step aside and say, I don't know, right? That's one. I don't know about this topic fully. And then two, am I willing to go and get educated about this topic, especially because it pertains to my child? And then go from there, because people who usually are like instantly upset by things or offended, it's it's a lack of education. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. Like, even too, like, I did sales for a very long time. And that was one thing I would tell when I would train sales, is that they're upset because they don't understand. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They're not upset with you. They're upset because they don't understand their benefits. They don't understand the mortgage that they got themselves into, you know?
Yeah.
So they're not understanding those things, and they're not able, for that reason, to understand their options. And because they chose to not educate themselves in the beginning, you're going to receive some of that heat on the front end. Now, what will make sticky business or a long-term client is someone who shows you, hey, damn, you're right, but I'm willing to get educated. Can you tell me? And then that's really where, like, I would always say, I'm not a good salesperson. I'm a good educator. I would be willing to tell people, hey, this is it. This is how this works. Do you understand? What do you not understand? What could I explain better? And then because I would take that time to educate, make sure they fully understood what they were getting themselves into, they would sell, and then they would stick.
Oh yeah, I always make sure my clients know what they're signing and what it's used for before they even like sign anything.
Right.
I'm like, would you like me to full blown go over every page with you? You let me know what you're comfortable with, and I will be right there for you. I'm not a lawyer, but I can give you straight up friend like advice, like, oh, well, what do you think we could sell the house for? Like that, of course, is my part of my job. So So yeah, I mean, it just depends, but yeah, I mean.
So, and it sucks because that friend, you know, maybe it was just her not wanting to go and do the research. I think it's really, I mean, like I said, even to like, this just ties back to our kiddos, right? Like Jed, we're talking about him, you know, being autistic, and how I had to educate myself on what services, what rights he has, what I could receive to help him grow further. But that's like anything in life, especially when it comes to the kids. Like, I'm not going to get political on here, right? Because I know everyone has right now things that are going on with like just certain things under the new presidency and things that are going into order. But like Camden, you know, talked to me about the ICE raids, and I sent him a flyer, and I was like, this is a child-friendly flyer on if ICE comes to your school, what you can do. This is like, you can plead the fifth. You can tell them, I don't want to talk to you. I'm not going to talk to you till I have my mom or my dad.
Well, yeah, because they're children.
Because they're children, right? But again,
a lot of people don't know that.
Or they don't take that approach, right? Like, they're not like, hey, I don't want to scare you, but like, I do want to educate you. And that's just like across the board. I think like what is happening right now, first of all, is terrible, because it's our children. Like, this is not about any political agenda. As a matter of fact, I feel like they use those political agendas as a ploy to distract us from actual human rights issues. This is now a human rights issue for our children.
Well, I'm like, last time, well, not even last time, like, 5 years ago, before Rona hit, we knew that something was happening because they were covering that shit up like a madman with a whole bunch of different other shit that we should care about. And so everybody was harping on that shit. So when Rona hit, everybody was like, what the fuck? And we were like, yeah, we could tell, because that's whenever we hear so much on the news and on the internet, is they try to like hound us to not think about other things that are actually going on as well.
Right. And that's happened here. And unfortunately, like, history repeats itself. Like, I even told Camden today, I was like, one thing you can do, son, if you want to, is like, don't be a bystander. Like, Jed is nonverbal. So I'm going to be honest, because he's autistic and nonverbal, what's going on in the school scares me, because if he was just a little bit older, or even now, like, let's say he was like 5 or 6 where he should be talking, they would probably think he's talking now. And an ICE agent's like, son, are your parents American citizens? And Jed is just quiet. And they take that as a no. What happens to my child? Again, not even just my child. These are our children. These are everyone's children that are affected by this. Jed can't speak for himself.
Yeah.
He
and then how would you ever find out like what happened to him?
Exactly.
Where did he go? Like,
where did he exactly? And so those are like, and that's why I told Camden, I said, if you're going to want to be fully educated, one thing I will tell you, Camden, is to, if you choose to, I encourage you to also, if something happens and you see a classmate speaking and you feel like, hey, I'm just going to let you know, classmate, my mom told me, ICE agent, sir, we both have the right to the Fifth Amendment. Stop talking to them.
Yeah. We need our parents present.
We need our parents present. Because, and so here's the thing, because I even told Camden, he's been to the Holocaust Museum in Dallas, and at the end of that one, I believe, because we didn't get to make it to the one in DC, because they now make you like schedule the tickets. But either way, there's a quote that's like, from the Holocaust, it's like, first they came for the socialist, but I wasn't a socialist, so I said nothing. And then they came for, like, I think the unionist, but I wasn't a unionist, so I said nothing. And then they came for the Jews, but I wasn't a Jew, so I didn't say anything. And then they came for me, and there was nobody to speak for me. Like, those are fears I have for Jed, for our children in general. And so I would hope that by me giving Camden those resources, that education, telling him about that quote, that someone would then pass along that information to possibly a child that's in my nonverbal child's class. Yeah. That'd be like, he's nonverbal and he's not going to talk to you.
Well, and see,
he doesn't have to.
I'm even going to tell my kids that. My kids are white, so they're probably not, no offense, but they're probably not going to get approached with that shit. But my son is the first to speak up for somebody. He's be like, hey, you don't have to talk to them. Like,
yes.
He'll definitely tell somebody.
Oh, I know, girl. I know. And that's what I'm saying. Like, those are things that, again, it's not to get political. It's not to defer away from the whole reason.
It's just we were talking about kids already and at school. And, like, we already have to worry about school shootings and shit like that with our kiddos. Yes. Like, now why do we need to worry about eyes, too?
Like, it scares
so
me.
Our kids just are never going to want to go to school because it's so scary.
Yeah.
Like, people could just come in whenever, and that's
right.
Saying,
and then you have a special needs child for any mom.
Who's just like, what?
Yeah, who has a special needs child with just the world we live in, like you said, shootings and now ICE. It's like there's a heightened, I'm not trying to discredit, regular ed kids because I have a regular ed child, but as a special needs mom, additionally, it heightens that fear because it's like they have some cognitive delays. Or
my kid's not going to be able to run out, like to run out.
Yes, and it kills me. Yeah. And I'm like, what can I do? And all I can do, like I said, is just try to be the example of, like, the more you know. And I even told Camden this morning, I texted him and I said, son, here's that flyer. I love you. God is always with you. And there's power in silence in education. You can be like, no, I know my rights. And that's it. And you'll actually probably do a lot more because I can guarantee you if an ICE agent heard a 10-year-old be like, excuse me, sir. Imagine Landon being like, he doesn't have to talk to you. You don't have to talk to him.
That's your Fifth Amendment.
Yeah.
Okay.
That ICE
Call
agent
your
be
mom.
Like, what the?
They'd be like, his mama a lawyer or some shit.
Just like
be like, no, we ghetto.
You know what? Never mind. Yeah, exactly.
No, we're just
we
ghetto.
We know. Mm-hmm. So we learned real quick.
I was like, at South Austin, you learn quick.
It's like that meme where he's like, oh, no, I see nothing. Matter of fact, I am blind.
Oh, it's like when my bestie does something wrong and they come to question you about it. Yeah. She's like, what? Should never.
No.
And I just see, I'm blind.
I am blind in my left eye. That is like how we grew up. So we know, like, you don't say nothing.
Well, my mom worked for DPS my whole life. So up until 4 years ago. So over 30 something years. So she would update me. She'd be like, hey, this hits September 1st. So, like, don't forget, because we're in August, and if you do this while you're driving, or blah, 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 or you can, hey, don't forget that this is one of your rights. If you don't want to speak, you don't have to speak. So, I'm almost at that age with my kids, because he's about to be 10.
You're like, so Lord. Well, anyways, guys, thanks for listening, and just to kind of end it on a lighter note, like, our hearts go out to everyone right now. Yeah. I think whether regular ed or special ed, there's a lot going on. I
just want to hug all the kids right now.
Like I said, our children. They're our children.
Yeah. So.
Well, till next time, y'all.
We'll see y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye.